Hey everybody, Derek here to bring you another video for The Walking Dead Season 5. We are a couple weeks, well actually we are 1 week, actually seems a little bit longer, but we are only 1 week past the mid-season finale of Walking Dead. And I'm doing videos in the interim to basically, provide some predictions for the next half and to keep us entertained while we wait. So, today what I want to do is basically do a minor predictions video of 5 things that I want to see out of Walking Dead Season 5 Part 2. So basically this is, looking into, and it could be like minor things or it could be something big, like a big focus on the story. So a couple ideas I had, and I'm going to share them. Now they may contain comic book spoilers or potential spoilers for the future. So if you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch the video. Okay. My number 5 is going to be a little more focus on Carl. I know that not everybody is the biggest fan of Carl. I am a big fan of Carl's. I think that Chandler Riggs is a very good actor, and I think that it's always very interesting seeing Carl grow up in the Walking Dead zombie apocalypse. And I think that since season 2, his character has really been important and has been a great focus. And I think that since then, he has not been an annoying character, at least in my opinion. I think he's grown it to become a very great essential character. But I really felt like the first half of season 5 really didn't have a lot of focus on him. We had one scene between Rick and Carl in Strangers, when Rick was telling him, you're not safe, and basically counseling him a little bit about how things were going. But other than that, I mean, we had Carl basically, at the church escaping with Michonne and Gabriel, but nothing really that furthers him as a character. And I think that we need to at least have a few more moments of that. I can understand if you want to kind of step back a little bit on Carl because he has been a big focus. And I think that going into this next half of the season, we're really going to need to have a lot of focus on Maggie, Rick, and, I mean, other characters, it's hard to tell. I think Daryl definitely has some storylines coming up. When doesn't he? Which is a good thing. And plus with Glenn. But I think that it's important to get Carl back into focus just a little bit and explore his views on like what happened with Beth, even though he wasn't there to see it, and just seeing how much harder this is on him. I mean, because Beth was, close to his age, not exactly, but, part of me thinks that they should really, explore just how dangerous it is for kids again. And, Beth was, in a sense, just coming to be an adult. And I think that, focusing on Carl and seeing him grow a little bit more even in this latter half, I think is very important, and it's something I want to see. Number 4, Rick being the leader again. I think that that is something that will happen, and I don't think that it should be for forever, which you'll see with my other points. But I think at this point, a lot of the members of the group are going to be very, non-respondent to what happened with Beth. And I don't think that anybody else is really going to be able to make those tough decisions other than Rick right now because of just who Rick is as a character. And not only that, but you also take into consideration that I think Rick, in some ways, knows that things could have went differently if they would have followed his plan. I did a video, and you can watch it, on why I think some characters weren't listening to Rick. And you saw that all throughout the first half of the 5th season. They wouldn't go back and kill the people at Terminus whenever Rick said to. Glenn and Maggie and them didn't stay at the church. Overall, I think that Rick made a compromise, but Rick didn't even want them to leave at all, period. And then Rick wants to go in there and slit some throats, whenever they were going to take Beth and Carol, their rescue operation against Grady Memorial. People were like, no, we're going to do a hostage negotiation. And you saw where, if people would have went with Rick, things might have actually turned out a lot better. You can't really say for sure, but you think about it, I mean, Bob might still be alive. because there never would have been hunters. I mean, you can guess as to whether he would have been bitten or not. I mean, you don't know. But there's that. If the group would have stayed together, I am adamant on that point that if they would have all been together when they went to go rescue Beth, Beth would not be dead. I will argue that until I am blue in the face, because you would not buck a stacked deck is basically what I look at. You know, if you know that the player on the other side of that card table has 4 aces, you're not gonna go against that. You know, you get what I'm saying. And if you just have, you know, a pair of kings, it's the same thing with this. If you'd have had Abraham, if you'd have had Maggie, Glenn, Tara, Rosita, Michonne even, all them pointing guns with Rick's group that went, no way Dawn would have asked for Beth. I mean, excuse me, no way that Dawn would have asked for Noah. I really don't think so. I think that was something that, in the circumstances, Dawn felt that she could ask for. I don't think it would have went down that way. And I think that Rick, in many ways, is going to be ticked at the way that things went down. And he may not necessarily, you know, come to light. You know, I don't think he's going to, you know, grab Tyrese and be like, you moron, you know, what were you thinking? We went with the peaceful resolution. I don't think it's going to be that. But I think that over time, with these next few episodes, what you're going to see is Rick, you know, coming back, I think, to that this is my way or the highway kind of situation. Kind of like the way in between season 2 and up until near the end of season 3 was. I think he's going to step back in there because he realizes that when he lets other people control things, people end up dead. And I think that's something that Rick takes to heart. And that's why he does part of the things that he does. It's not necessarily, I mean, I'm not going to say that Rick likes to do sadistic things, you know, like kill Officer Bob or, you know, hack Gareth to death with a machete. I just think that some of the things that he does are pretty much to protect his family, his group members. And I think that he feels like he let everybody down because he wasn't able to be there fully. And because of the fact that he didn't argue his position and he, you know, let Daryl and Tyrese talk him into it, Beth's dead. And I think that that's going to be something that he harbors in this latter half of the season. So we'll see how that goes. But I think Rick should, you know, at least assert leadership and see what happens. Number 3 is going to be to see the group suffer a little bit. One of the things that I think this first part of the, you know, it's kind of hard when you get all the numbers in there. When we get to like these first 4 or 5 episodes of the second half of season 5, I don't want there to be automatic hope. I think that would be a mistake. I think you need to give them a little taste of something and perhaps dangle it over them and then take it away. And this is something that I read about. It may or may not be true. Again, it is a spoiler. But they may find a community that's abandoned. In the comics, way early, like this was around the time when they had just left the Atlanta campsite. They ran into something called Wiltshire Estates, and they were a bunch of houses, but it was overrun with zombies. Well, I read a rumor that we may see a version of Wiltshire Estates in the TV show. Maybe, maybe not. Because you see them opening up like this gate, like this big, you know, barrier gate in the trailer for the next half, and then you also see them like in a basement or in houses, like, you know, going through houses. There's houses everywhere, and they're like pushing against the doors. I would have no doubt that maybe they might do something like this. That they find this community and maybe see if they can make it work, and something goes terribly wrong. Something does go wrong in the comics, and I think that if they did something like that, it would basically balance out what I want to see. And you'll see with my other things, you know, I think that they are going to take the storyline in a certain direction, and if they do, I don't want them to do it until near the end of season 5. I don't want them to come out season 5, episode 9, and this big, huge carrot is hung in front of them, and everybody's like, hope, yes, let's do it. No, I want to see the group go through a tough time for a little while before we see any hopeful signs for them. So that's something else I hope to see. Number 2 is Maggie's comic book grief storyline. And what I mean by that is right after the prison, when Herschel and her brother Billy in the comics dies, Maggie basically has a very tough time and she attempts to kill herself. She hangs herself in the forest. Whether they do it exactly like that or not, I don't know if it's necessary, but one of the things I really want to see is Maggie go through a tough situation like that. Because again, I said it in one of my previous videos, and you can watch that one as well. It's called Maggie's Reaction to Beth's Death. You know, Maggie came out a different character from that. And I think that at this point, if they want to continue with Maggie as a character, they're going to need to have some kind of a change in her. And I think that this would provide the avenue for her to be able to become a quote-unquote stronger character. And I hope that they follow through with that, and that Maggie doesn't just get up in the next episode and go, yep, everything's cool, you know, let's do this. Hey, I got Glenn, let's, you know, I want to see her go through a little bit of a hard time before she comes out on the other side a brand new character. And finally, number 1 is the introduction of some type of Alexandria Safe Zone storyline. It doesn't necessarily have to be Alexandria Safe Zone. In the comics, the group does go to Washington, D.C. They actually go, and they run into this guy named Aaron, who takes the group to the Alexandria Safe Zone. It's basically a community behind walls with houses, and basically people are living and surviving. A lot better than what, you know, most people would be on the outside, you know. Now, one thing that we do know is that The Walking Dead is going to be introducing a character that is homosexual. And there are 3 possibilities that they have there. It's either Aaron, his partner Eric, or it's Paul Monroe, also known as Jesus. And I said, you know, maybe what they'll do is they're either going to introduce Aaron, Eric, or Jesus, and basically incorporate that into the story here, where he has a place that they can go, and the group basically debates, like, well, do we want to go or do we not? Because one of the things that the group realizes right now is that other groups are no longer safe. You know, they saw that with Terminus. I said with Terminus, they really, they were desperate, and they forgot while they were living at the prison just how dangerous the outside world is. I think they forgot about just how dangerous people could be, because they were letting people into the prison. They were trusting people, and I think that in the end, that's part of the reason why they went to Terminus, but they found Terminus wasn't trustworthy. They go to this Grady Memorial place, and they find out what's going on here. They can't trust groups of people. They can only trust their own group. And I think that what would be very interesting is if they introduce Aaron, Eric, or Jesus. Basically, they promise that there's this great community where people are living, and they can come and be members of that group. And I think that that is definitely a good storyline that they could use, but I think that they need to use it near the second, you know, half of the second half of season 5, I know. But like around episode 13 or 14, maybe. You know, not automatically in episode 9, like, hey, I'm Aaron, what's up, guys? Or, hey, I'm Jesus, I'm Eric. I don't want to see that, because otherwise the group is not going to be able to provide good storylines. I think that would be too soon and not enough, you know, development if they introduce it too soon. But I think it's necessary to have something like that by the end of the season. Or it could be a group comes there, and you know, and the Wiltshire Estates become the Alexandria Safe Zone. So you could have people coming there, or you could potentially skip over, and it may even be something similar to the Hilltop. So that's why I think it might even be Jesus and not Aaron. So we'll see what happens, but I think that they should introduce that as well. And that's all I have for today, guys. If you guys have things that you want to see, don't be afraid to comment. Don't be afraid to leave a question or anything. Please feel free to subscribe. I have more videos coming. If you have any video topics that you would like to suggest, don't be afraid to do so. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thank you very much.